everybody, it's Linda G, and today I'm here with Ness.
Hi,
Oh, by the
everyone.
way, you look so cute.
Oh, thank you. I got a little haircut. It's called, for
Yeah,
folks who want this type of haircut, it's called a French bob, which means you do like a heavy bang and then it kind of goes a little short right here. So,
I
yeah.
think that was popular back in my younger days. That was
Yeah, it's
popular.
a very classic haircut. Especially the was a Jane Birkin bangs, it's a
Yeah.
not that far off from that. So, yeah.
Anyway, and I like your blouse, but this is the day we've been looking for. She's got so much info, you guys. This is
Oh
going
my
to be
goodness.
exciting.
Yes.
Hit
Yes.
it.
Okay, let's get right into it. So I'm going to do first, folks, the infomercial bit, and then we're going to recap July's astrology predictions because we got some stuff right, and we want to talk about it because it's about things happen in July that's going to start to unfold in the next couple months. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to end on August's predictions. And Linda, you had shared in so many of your videos that I had texted you and said, "Hey, August is the one to watch out for," and I looked
Yeah.
at it just. You know, high level and you had shared it almost on every video and I was like, oh my gosh, did I overhype July's astrology? Sorry, August's astrology. But then I looked at it this weekend. I'm going to share it with y'all. And Linda, it took my breath away. I mean, you might not have saw the graph I showed you, but the math on some key dates in August are just my brain could not compute in terms of the things that are happening and how these planets are talking to each other. So August is very, very powerful, especially a big energy change from July. So we're going to talk about that. But let me get into it and start sharing my screen. So folks, we're going to be doing the infomercial bit. So bear with us. Let me
Do I
share.
have that permission thing
I
going?
think you have to, yeah, I think you have to give me permission.
Okay, allow. There we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, and let me hide the slide bit. Okay, so hello everyone. We're back again. We're going to be looking at August's astrology predictions. And so first is the infomercial bit. So folks, I offer astrology readings. I am now going to be 222.22 for personal readings and it's I've kind
Oh,
of
may I just interject real
sure.
quick?
Yes, yes.
People who've had a reading with you have written me and said, "Oh my God,
Oh, they have. Oh, that's
they liked them."
It's really beautiful. It's been a beautiful experience working with folks one on one and just seeing the amazing stuff that's happening in folks' life, especially around the 2025 trends, which I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So folks, I'm now going to be what's called mid-level pricing. It's not, the mid-level means like Toyota, Levi. Like this is not Tesla or Coach pricing. This is just mid-level. And I would love to, if you would also, still book with me, you can email me here at astrology@ness at gmail.com, as well as there's going to be a self-booking URL link that's going to be at the bottom of the video that you can just self-book as well. And I would love to book with you. And I actually want to talk a little bit about the 2025 transit reading, which I offer. And this is a unique offering that I honestly feel like, Linda, I feel I'm actually called to go on YouTube right now to help folks with this particular thing, which
And
is
you
about
don't have a YouTube channel, by the way.
I don't. I'm actually just possibly, I think I'm only going to collab. I think I'm just collabing, which is very Pluto and Aquarius in terms
Okay.
of just going to folks and talking with them. I like the dialogue. I don't like to be in a place and just talk.
I
You're
know.
very good at it. You can just go. I'm like, I need the interplay with other
Yeah.
people and
Yeah.
you share your hits and I share my hits and all of that. So, but I want to talk, folks, about this 2025 transit reading that I'm offering, and I want to talk about it because I've done about 100 of these for the past 2 months, and some interesting things are happening. So far, how do I describe this? This 2025 transit reading and where we are with these five outer planets changing signs and in a very short period, like 6 months. As I've been doing readings for folks, it's all been very positive. It's actually all been good news. So much so that Linda, I even asked you during our member three card 2 weeks ago. I was like, why is everyone having good news? Am I too rosy? Am I being biased? And you had pulled the star, you had pulled the King of Swords, and you had pulled one other positive card. And you said, no, it's actually just positive. Like we're just graduating. This is kind of like high school to going to college or the workforce. You're just graduating. You are graduating and you're exiting timelines. You are moving into timelines that are just more, elevated. A lot of these are moving into air and fire sign placements. So we're having a lot of elevation of Our thinking is going to be improved. We're going to have more discernment. We are processing information better. We're understanding how things are related and connected. For example, the whole with the Iran and Israel war that happened, the 12-day war, they were trying to do that weapons of mass destruction bait and switch, and we quickly sniffed it. We're like, no, 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 we know what's happening. Or even this past 2 weeks with Trump when he was doing the deflection tactics of like, Obama did Russia. We were like, no, 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 we know. like, so we're processing information a lot better with these transits, with Pluto and Uranus moving into Gemini, and they're helping each other out, as well as air signs. We're seeing Saturn and Neptune moving into, sorry, not air signs, fire signs. So we're having air and fire is about bravery, creativity, boldness, action. And so as a planet, we're basically elevating to both processing information better and then following up with the action, which is very positive in terms of some transits that we're all experiencing. And this is kind of why we are actually like moving to this. We're graduating. We're just moving to better timelines. Things are getting better. And so also here, I want to point this out. There's actually a trine that's sort of happening here with this particular transit. You're seeing here that Pluto and Uranus are talking to each other and helping each other out, and they're sextiling Saturn and Neptune loosely for the next 3 years. So, as much as these planets are transiting into new signs, they're working together. They're working together and helping a particular area of your life. And so, when we do like a particular reading on you, we'll get a sense if you're moving into like a health story, and that's kind of your new chapter with these 2025 trends. So, if we're going to get a sense if you're having maybe a therapy story, you're about to possibly write a book with all these transits connected, or maybe you're about to have a spiritual experience and kind of have more of a spiritual awakening, which actually, Linda, you and I are having that because we have Uranus entering our ninth house of higher information, belief. So we're going to become way more spiritual with these particular transits. And I've been giving this example for folks who have had personal readings with me. So pardon if you if you heard this before, but basically we're in this portal period between November 2024 to November 2026. And the example I give is the game of musical chairs. So I imagine, Linda, you've played the musical chairs when you were younger. And usually it's competitive. Like every round, someone just is left standing. So I want folks not to think of the game of musical chairs as scarcity, but more of like abundance, where there might be 12 people and there's 18 chairs. And each chair is different styles and shapes. One is like a plastic see-through acrylic chair. One is a wooden chair. One looks like a king's chair. One's a Game of Thrones chair with all the swords and stuff like that. So I want you to imagine out of the 12 people, each person sitting on a chair. So I'm using this game of musical chairs to explain life events. So when life events happen, usually one or two people get up and find new chairs. So they have a health event, they're having a divorce, they have a marriage. When you're having big change in your life, usually you are the only one, or there's one other person, but everyone else is kind of staying where they are. The previous year, their current year, their next year looks mostly the same. With these transits that we're having, it's basically asking everyone to get up and find new chairs. We're going through a period of change and transition and graduating to new timelines. And so this is a portal period between November 2024 to November 2026. And I want to acknowledge the folks that are joining us, the folks that are here joining us are very intuitive. You are dialed in, you know something else is up. And so for you honestly are part of the top, I would say 20% that's aware that we're in a period of change. But the rest of the folks, the bottom 50 or 80% of folks are not aware. They're not awake. They are kind of have blinders on in life. They're kind of numb to things. They're just kind of putting one foot in front of the other and not really thinking about the bigness of things. And they might also have, extreme events where they can't really think about it. But during this period, they're going to kind of miss the assignment, because what they're going to do is they're going to basically fight like heck to stay in their chair. They're going to fight like heck to spend this portal period to like look for their chair because their chair was gone. Or they're going to pretend to sit in a chair even though the chair is gone because they're in denial that the chair is gone. So this is a really beautiful period of change where we're graduating and exiting. And it's basically from November 2024 to November 2026. And it's really beautiful. And when you can look at your chart, we can get a sense of where it's happening in your life. Are you having are you having a career change? Are you having a inner therapy story? Are you about to write a book? Are you entering a creative era where you're going to start making paintings? Like, for example, our fellow friend, Dan, the artist, he's about to have this big creative era with his placements and connecting with his intuition in a whole other level. And so if you don't book with me, folks, I recommend finding an astrologer in your life that can maybe tell you which new eras you're graduating to and which new timelines you're exiting, because it's all very, very positive news with these particular 2025 transits. I'm going to talk about this manifestation course later because there's a key event that happens in August that's going to really relate to this. But now let's talk about July and the predictions that we got correctly for July. So the big thing with July was Uranus moved into Gemini. That was the big event. And when Uranus moved into Gemini, folks, at the same time Venus moved into Gemini. And so when Venus moved into Gemini, we basically didn't feel the full effects of Uranus moving into Gemini because Venus actually protected it. And so looking back, I actually feel, Linda, this is kind of maybe Pam Bondi. That when Uranus moved into Gemini, Pam Bondi was sort of protecting Trump. This is one interpretation that I feel. And Venus is going to move out of Gemini in basically 2 days. So my prediction with astrology is she's either going to change her tune in 2 days or she's going to leave the White House. That this is like she's this female archetype that's sort of protecting him. And I haven't really heard any news about her. I don't know if she's even back from her cornea. Have you heard anything from her?
I think she might be back because she's in a big fight with that bun, Dan, the Dan guy.
Oh,
They were in a fight
her
before, but
junior.
I guess they're fighting again.
Okay, so she's back and she's fighting with him. Yes, and folks, if you haven't checked out Nath from Third Wish, he actually did a prediction video for about Pam Bondi almost 2 months ago, and he kept seeing children, 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 children around her, and I wonder if it's the Epstein children.
I'm sure
So,
it is.
oh my goodness, yeah. So this is going to be really interesting. We have a couple days left of July. I predict in the last few days of July, we're going to see Pam Bondi either change her tune or possibly leave the White House. There's going to be possibly some shift in a way where Trump is less protected. That's kind of the general shape of it. And also, speaking about Dan, the artist, our friend here, you have your predictions validated all the time, but Dan actually wrote to me when this happened because I'll put a timestamp in the video at the bottom so folks can go to it. But when I did July's prediction, I had said that around in let's go to it. I said basically around the 7th that there was going to be something that Trump would do around this day, and then he's going to basically make a gaffe, and then he's going to basically spend all this time doing deflection and tactics to cover it up, and then it's sort of going to reach a point on the 24th. And so Dan had written me on the 8th or the 9th, and he was like, I think it's the Epstein thing, and I don't think it's going to go away. And I'm like, okay, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then as the days were coming by, so that was interesting to kind of get validation on. But I want to talk about this day, which was the July 24th, which I told you was a big day. And it's a new moon. So there's something that's going to happen on this day or happen on this day that's going to unfold for the next 6 months. So, and I have three distinct trends that I feel really confident to attribute to it. So let's recap what I was talking about this day. This was a new moon in Leo. And on this day, I'm sort of going to collapse the three things that are happening all at once. The new moon in Leo, and on the same day, the sun was trining, which is very helpful, was trining Saturn and Neptune in Aries, fire sign to fire sign. And then later on, the sun and moon, because they were still nearby, was opposite Pluto in Aquarius. And this was the big one that I talked about. The sun in Leo was a leader, but he was basically going against Pluto Aquarius, the people. And so we did have some celebrity deaths around this. We had threes, which we saw, which
Yes.
was Ozzy, Jamal, and oh my goodness, what was the
Connie
third one?
Francis
Yes, Francis. I think there was someone else too. Ozzy, Jamal.
and
Oh goodness gracious! I apologize. Folks are gonna probably put it into the chat in terms of
yeah.
the one we missed. But there were three deaths. There were three celebrity deaths that happened around this particular thing. But that's not the one I want to talk about. I want to actually talk about this whole this Leo sun opposing Pluto and Aquarius. So, folks, and I want to really talk about Pluto and Aquarius and as a concept. So, Pluto and Aquarius is like power of the people. It's social groups. It's communities.
Oh, the wrestler guy.
Oh, Hulk. Thank you. The Hulk. Yes, that's exactly it. So we had the three deaths, which, Sun and Leo represent celebrities, and there's a fall that sort of happens with this. So besides that, the Pluto and Aquarius representing the Sun versus Leo. Pluto and Aquarius represents power of the people, communities, social groups. It often represents kind of like challenging old paradigms, new thinking, new innovation. And so I see three trends that sort of happened with this. The first one is about Trump and his conspiracy theories versus like legacy versus like these new media, like the content creators in this online environment. So Trump, during this time, or let me take a step back. Trump has been really good at conspiracy theories. Trump is really good, especially go back into the day of 2011, 2012, the birther lie that he said about Obama and how it actually made him gain more attention because he wasn't really on the political stage at that point in 2010. But that really helped kind of fan the flames of like, oh, maybe you should consider going and becoming, running for some political position. And but when he was doing that, his main vehicle was Fox News. That was the kind of the main way he kind of did that. But today with Pluto and Aquarius, we don't have that anymore. We have, legacy and linear media is dying. And what we have now is like, for example, how we're connecting here on YouTube, where we're on this social media, we're talking, we're sharing notes. And so we have one example, which is the Epstein files, which is a conspiracy that, Trump perpetuated, but then he's not able to control it the way he was able to control Fox News because he can't control the internet. He can't control Pluto and Aquarius, this aspect of a bunch of folks with different podcasts and different people sharing different things. So what we've seen the past 2 weeks with the Epstein files is he's actually not equipped for this Pluto and Aquarius environment. He doesn't know if his main news organization is Fox News, he can control that. But he can't control the Dan Bongino, I can't even pronounce his last name, the Dan Bongino podcast. He can't control Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan yesterday even said that that basically Trump is gaslighting America with these claims and these deflection tactics. So we're seeing an Achilles heel start to emerge with Trump regarding this Pluto and Aquarius, which is he was really successful when it was just Fox News, but now with this new media, with the I'm trying to think of all the podcasts, the podcast brothers, the podcast boys, like all these different, the Joe Rogans, the other type of podcasts that he can't control it. So we're seeing the downfall of that blind spot with him. The other
Yeah.
thing we're also noticing is the Colberts, the comedy shows, the
Yeah.
South Park, because and I actually give comedy shows as an example when I talk about Pluto and Aquarius before what happened with Colbert. So these late night comedy shows, you're often when you're watching them, you're watching a host come out, deliver joke after joke after joke, and they're basically synthesizing the news, which is air sign, synthesizing the news in a very comedic way. But the host does not make the jokes. The jokes are actually made by a team of writers backstage. And what they do is in the morning, they take the news, they process the news, and it's about a dozen writers, and they have maybe one or two head writers. But what they really do is they look at the news and they make jokes out of it. But what they're doing is it's not about like the most senior person making the joke. It could be the news person can make the joke. It's very horizontal, it's very flat, it's very linear, but it's really about who can make the best joke. It's people coming together and doing what they cannot do separately. And so by nature, late night comedy shows are Pluto and Aquarius. They take information, they process it, and they basically punch up. And so it's very, when I saw that Colbert had his downfall with this particular transit, or not his downfall, but he was, he was having basically be canceled. I really see that was connected. And then what happened here on the 23rd to the 24th, we saw the South Park show where South Park released the episode. I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch
Yeah, I
it?
watched it.
Okay, I was like, I didn't know you can make a male anatomy part look so adorable, like a Disney character. It was like a combination of Elmo and like Sesame Street. But yeah, so I want to talk about this, that this has to do with an Achilles heel that Trump has, which is there's a weird way where our comedy shows are almost like a force of our democracy. They're almost like a force of Pluto and Aquarius, and we're just getting started. This is a new moon. So this is going to unfold for the next 6 months. And I don't know if you've noticed other late night shows, they're actually punching harder. The
Oh yeah.
Colbert's stuff is just on point. I think even Jimmy Fallon, who's like the Disney, he's very PC and very polite. He's also had some singers. He did this really interesting, like a rap lyric last night. You should check it out. Where he just like zinged everyone in like a minute. It was just like
Wow.
so poetic. So this particular transit is not just about Trump not being able to control like legacy linear media versus this new media. It's also about late night comedy shows and how they help our culture and how they are helping us make sure people are taken care of and processing, this information in a way. And the third thing I want to talk about is Gaza. So Gaza is happening this horrendous crisis. I don't know if you know, basically for 30 days they had not received any food or water. That was the thing
Oh,
that I
I
think
know.
Bernie Sanders talked about. But what's the Pluto Aquarius component of this is we live in a digital era. So we have social media and we have phones to record a genocide where we didn't have that, in other decades before. We didn't have a way to kind of almost make a documentary in real time of what's happening. And so these are the three things that I see are happening around this transit, and we're going to start to see that unfold in the next coming months. So folks, if you're part of our YouTube community, you're part of the curve. You're ahead, leading part of actually Trump's downfall. So continue
Yay.
to continue to consume more of media here on YouTube or other alternative sources because linear legacy media is how he has power. He can just sue them and then they can bend to his will. But these YouTube environments are kind of like how we're fighting back. So now let's go into August's astrology. And this is like, oh goodness. So the first part of August has to do with a lot of Mars activity. So we're seeing a lot of Mars activity, especially around the August 8th and 9th, which we'll talk about in terms of that's the main kind of event. That's the main character for August. So we're seeing a lot of Mars activity with Mars moving into Libra, but it's also opposing Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So there's a lot of Mars because Mars rules Aries as well as Mars being over here. We're also seeing Mercury in Leo for most of August. So we started August with the retrograde. So folks, if you're new to this image, folks, this is basically showing where all the planets are for the month. And so all the planets move counterclockwise. So this is where Venus started in the beginning of the month, and this is kind of where Venus will end. Mercury started on a retrograde this month, and it's going to kind of continue to be in Leo for the rest of August. And so we're going to have Mercury in Leo for the rest of August, and it's going to exit the retrograde. So things are going to move clear, especially
Is
the
my
second half.
Mercury in Leo? I think my Mercury's in Leo.
Oh, your Mercury's in Leo. Okay, actually, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know you have
My
Venus in.
Venus is, I know that.
You actually do have a lot of placements in Leo. I remember that. I wouldn't be surprised if your Mercury's in Leo too, which means you're having a change of your communication and thinking right now.
That's true.
Because for folks, Mercury in Leo is also loosely opposing Pluto. So while we had this retrograde in Leo, everyone's thinking and thoughts sort of change, in particular wherever their area of life of their Leo is. So if your Leo's in your sixth house, it's going to be one thing. Third house is going to be something else. So we're going to have that be dominant. But the Mercury in Leo is not the main character. The main character is going to be August 8th to 9th. Which is around the Lions Gate. We're going to talk about that. And then we also are going to have one of the positive days of the whole year, which is Venus will conjunct Jupiter August 11th. That's going to be very, very, very positive. And then we're also just setting the stage for eclipse season. We're having eclipse season in September, both eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. And I know, Linda, you and we have our Virgo and Pisces in our health house of the sixth house, as well as our 12th house of spirituality. So there's something for all the Libra risings on the phone or on the call with us, just to be aware of health issues that possibly could emerge during this eclipse season, possibly some spiritual events, some maybe interesting dreams, as well as possibly maybe the urge to organize, the urge to kind of reshuffle things, to kind of purge things and kind of optimize routines in different ways. And then I also want to share some positive astrology that's kind of on the horizon, which is October 12th to November 26th. We're going to have very, very positive astrology where Venus will move into Libra and it's going to trine Uranus and Pluto in a very nice way. And so October 12th and 26th is a good time, maybe plan a vacation. If you're feeling things are really difficult, I feel like things will just chill out a little bit then. So the world will feel a bit easier to kind of manage. It'll just feel nicer,
Okay.
especially as August and September will feel very, very intense. Okay, so let's get into it in terms of um, the key dates. So this is August's astrology. This is not all of it, but this is the main events. And I'm only going to be talking about these four events today. And the first one here is going to be the main event. And as I'm going to be talking about astrology, as I talk about astrology versus someone else, like for example, Andre is really good at looking at particular people like Trump or Elon or Bondi and look at their charts and get a sense of what's happening. I kind of look at it more at the collective level. Like if you're like in outer space and you're looking at Earth, you're like, whoa, something's happening on that day. And for a lot of empaths that are on the call, like you're more connected to that collective energy than someone else might be. So this will be really relevant for you in terms of that collective energy. So I'm going to basically collapse what happens on the 8th and the 9th and talk about it at the same time because that's how I want to frame the conversation. And I'm also going to do that for the 25th and 26th. So you're going to see things that actually don't exist in one point of time, but the energies are very, very close. So let's talk about the big one. So this is the one that sort of took my breath away when I looked at the astrology of the 8th and the 9th. And this will be the main energy that we're going to kind of walk into in August and kind of recover from. So the first one is there's a lot of Aries and Mars activity. So we possibly are going to see a lot of conflicts. A lot of broken alliances and possibly war, and not like terrorist attack, but possibly war. Like we might see an escalation of Ukraine and Russia. We might see an escalation, maybe Iran and Israel might get into it again. We might see a new conflict with another country. This is more war, or it could even be riots here in the United States. We might start to see more protests that feel like war. Like if you think about the LA riots that happened in June, the images were very like combat. It didn't feel like a protest. It felt like military like. So we might start to see some of that around the 8th and the 9th. And Mars is moving into Libra. Libra is about fighting for justice, the underdog, feeling like things aren't unfair. And we're also having a full moon in Aquarius right afterwards. So there's something about social groups coming together, fighting the underdog, fighting what doesn't feel fair. And so this is kind of the sky path for both the 8th and the 9th kind of collapse together. And this is what took my breath away. This math took my breath away. And I know, Linda, you're earlier on your astrology journey of being able to kind of understand this, but this is
I don't
very
understand nothing.
these are very, very intense configurations. And again, folks, I'm collapsing the 8th and 9th together to kind of talk about it all at once. So let's break it down. So we're going to talk about the oppositions. So we're having the sun opposite the moon, which is a full moon, and we're having Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune. But Saturn and Neptune are retrograding. So there's an interesting thing where this opposition is happening while this is sort of going back. So let's break down the first one. So Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune. So there's resistance. Mars wants to go forward, do action, especially for people, for fairness, for justice. And then Saturn and Neptune are going backwards, but they're very tough. They're slow moving. And so there's going to be a need to want to do something, like something shocking is going to happen, and we're going to want to come together and protest, but you're almost going to like hit a wall. There's going to be some resistance of maybe like the Gaza crisis is getting worse and we can't change it. Or maybe Trump stuff is like we're hitting a wall. We can't really change one of his policies. And so there's going to be a lot of desire to do something, but we're going to feel a huge resistance. We're going to see relationships break up, possibly even on an individual level, like marriages or divorces. We could possibly see more fires, like wildfires during this time around this because of the types of
Yeah, that's
energy.
very big.
Yeah. And I think you pulled that on you did your August predictions. I think you saw fires as one of your
Yeah.
predictions for that. So yeah, possibly fires around the 8th. I know Canada's, I think it's still on fire on the northeast
Oh, it's
part.
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's possible fires or wildfires, and also be careful there's going to be a need to kind of do action, and so you might see someone that feels like an underdog. You might want to run in and help, but with this Saturn and Neptune opposition, it might be a lot more difficult than you realize. So be careful of rushing too quick with things, like maybe just like sleep on it before you decide to rush in, because there's something about this. The thing you're going against is bigger than you realize. And so, with this kind of opposition, we're also having this full moon in Aquarius. So, full moons are about releasing, letting things go. And there's something about a social group sort of letting things go. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the MAGA group maybe fractures in a way that we've never seen before around the 8th. Like maybe they decided to kind of break away from Trump in a way that they haven't before. And we're also seeing some semi-squares, which aren't super intense, but there's some friction that are happening between this. So this is very interesting because they're sort of all in dialogue with each other. Like nothing is sort of left behind. We're also seeing some positive things. We have what's called a grand trine, which is this giant little triangle, which means they're all working with each other and talking. But this is Mars, Pluto, and Uranus. And so these are all air signs. So there's a potential new thinking, new breakthroughs, some possibly new transformation, especially if we're hitting a wall. We might realize we can't go this way, we have to go this way. So maybe instead of going through Gaza, through like the US and Israel, maybe we have to go a different way to kind of, and also today they just announced the UK said they're going to recognize Palestine
Yes.
as one of the,
Oh, Netanyahu said we'll never go as tourists to the UK ever again.
oh, he
And
did.
so nobody cares. They are
But
cool.
it,
You know what? One of his lieutenants or something said, the people in Gaza are not starving. No, we can't believe
I
our
know.
lying
I know. I
eyes.
know. I know. And this is the, but that's the Pluto Aquarius. We have digital ways of recording it where they can't control, which is why Trump's downfall, because he can't control Pluto Aquarius. It's also Netanyahu's downfall. He can't control this social media influences here. So what we're seeing is possibly some new breakthroughs that are going to happen, new thinking, new transformation, maybe new inventions that could possibly happen with this particular aspect. And it loosely, it's called a kite, which means this little thing happens here. And so there's a loose kite happening with Mercury, and Mercury's in retrograde. So there's something about new thinking, new thoughts. Mercury is very much in good company with these air signs. So while we're having this opposition, and we're also having, while we're having this opposition happen, we're having new thinking. The new thinking is going to be the solution that's going to happen with this transit. But do you see, this is kind of what took my breath away. 80% of the planets are all talking to each other. Do you see this? They're all talking to each other, all connected. And this is happening on the Lionsgate. This is happening on Lionsgate. And the only ones that are not talking to each other are the two benefics right here, Venus and Jupiter, which are the positive planets of the chart. But look, they're talking to each other. They are working with each other. Oh my goodness. This
Oh
is
my
like,
gosh.
this is really powerful. I believe this Lionsgate is going to be a Lionsgate gate unlike any other. So folks, I
Did you
recommend.
define Lionsgate yet or tell folks what it means?
Okay, yeah, Lionsgate is basically a particular day using the power of eight, where the energies are very powerful. They're very powerful, especially for manifestation. I think when you have spiritual experiences, whether you just meditate, it's very easy to kind of connect into the energies. And everyone has different experiences around manifestation. I had a very interesting. I'm a very science background. Like I'm very, very science, very academic. I have, 4 degrees from top universities. I'm like very, very academic, corporate kind of person. And I had a spiritual experience where I saw manifestation as this like gold yellow energy. And I know a lot of folks have seen that too, where they've seen this manifestation energy as this gold yellow. And that's often what people see around Lionsgate, this gold yellow kind of portal that sort of opens up around this day. So it's not just the day, it's a couple days before and after. It's a very positive period to kind of access that energy to kind of direct it towards your goals. So if you are not in my class, I do recommend doing something on that day, especially Lynn, that's you have your Venus and you mentioned earlier, your Mercury in Leo. So that's going to be very positive for you to maybe spend time in talking about new goals you want, new
Actually, I looked
projects.
it up while I was talking to you. It looks like it's in Libra.
Oh, it's in Libra. Okay, your Mercury's in Libra. Oh, that's interesting. That's your first house of self. Okay, very, very balanced, very diplomatic. You could have been a lawyer if you wanted to
Oh
with
yeah, I
Mercury.
know I could have. Yeah.
Yeah, come back with the retort.
Is that
So
why I have such an interest in court hearings?
oh, that could be,
I
yes.
love court
You have a
hearings.
sense of balance and fairness. Mercury is your thinking, your thoughts, and Libra is about balance and fair. A lot of Libras tend to be drawn to the law or some version. I know one of our members, Renee. Hi, Renee. She's a Libra rising and she's a lawyer. And so yeah, it's very common with Libra placements to have attracted law. There's something about the balance and fairness that is a part of it, and the sense of how you use words to create fairness and balance. There's something about wholeness that you're trying to sort of achieve. And yeah, you would be more drawn to like true crime or crime stories.
Yeah, I watch crime stories all the time.
You could have been really into Karen Reed. The unjustness is very distracting for you. You'd be
Oh,
like,
very. I
exactly.
tend to get very angry. Yeah.
And you're really good at finding how to balance things out. Like, what's the thing to do? You're very diplomatic. You could be like,
Except
if
my
you,
checkbook. I don't know how to do that. But
well,
yeah.
wait, I think it's because you have Leo, Venus and Leo, which wants to enjoy life. Wants to enjoy life.
Oh, well, it's
Well,
supposed
wants
to
to
open at
live it.
midnight, and I thought maybe I should.
No, I mean Venus and Leo, you would be fun to go on vacation with.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
would have
yeah.
some really good hotels, really good meals, a lot of
Like
fun.
Dan, Danny Shea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A while ago, he invited me to go on a short camping trip with him and his wife. I said, "Hey, buddy, if it don't got room service, I ain't
Yeah.
going that way.
But even if you plan a trip, you would pick a really good hotel. You'd pick a good city.
I gotta have
Yes.
room service."
Yes.
My younger days, I didn't mind sleeping on the floor at a
Yeah.
friend's house. It's so weird. And then now I'm old, and it's like, no,
No,
I like comfort.
you pay your dues. You don't have to do that as much anymore. But yeah, that could be why the spending is big. But also it's Leo. Leo wants to just enjoy life, wants to have the experiences that make life worth living. And so that's a particular placement there. But for folks both at home to really use this Lionsgate portal, I still have room in my manifestation course that's coming up. My manifestation course is like part woo-woo, which is like the spiritual side, but also part just neuroscience, which is like how to make craft goals, like how to make sure your goals are about you and not reacting to other people, like how to
Right,
really check in with yourself, how to maybe you might want an outcome, but it's not really. If we ask the five whys of why you want this goal, you might realize you actually want. We're going to support you with goal creations, and that I think sometimes breaks down when people manifest. They pick the wrong goal, or they pick the one that is like I want to make this person like as opposed to kind of going back to themselves and like
right.
what's going to make them happy, as well as woo things. We're going to be and I love woo is just the mystery of life, what science can't explain. So we're going to
Right.
explore that and stuff like that. And I have room in both classes, about a few spots in each. So I'd love to have you join the class. Okay, so we're going to talk about the next.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Lionsgate. What was the last time that happened? Do you recall?
Lionsgate is every year. Every year
Every year.
around 8/8. Yes, always August 8. But the energies of this, I mean, I don't know how to explain this because I tend to anthropomorphize astrology. They're all talking to each other. None of these planets are by themselves. They're all talking to each other, and the benefics are very talking to each other. So there's something really powerful. Like I would be more ambitious with your Lionsgate this year. Like I might spend more time. I might, whatever your manifestation tactic is, being very specific, being very vague, being very it's how your emotional, orientation towards it. There's something very powerful with this particular. And it's funny because I did a reading for Terry holding your space, Terry Renner.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I got a hit while I was talking with her and I was like, "Oh wait, I have to tell you something. I'm getting a sense that you need to pay attention to the Lionsgate this year. It's going to be really important for you, unlike any other." And then a couple days later, I saw this and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's why they said that."
Well, I'm going to focus on Trump getting the hell out of Dodge.
I think I mean you can try that, use your manifestation tactic. I think what works really well is not what you don't want because something about they don't understand the double negative.
There you
It's
go. I
yeah,
understand that.
it's
I
about what you want.
understand.
You want to say I want more of that Obama 2007 hope and change. Like say focus on what you want and not what you don't
And
want.
not,
And
yeah, because that does cause a stage of resistance. Yeah.
exactly. But if you want to say, I want an era where we have universal health care. I want an era of civility. I want to admire my leader like maybe JFK or Obama did, like that. Like I want
Maybe
amazing
we've been
speeches.
looking at it the wrong way. I just get what you're saying. Maybe I need to tell people focus, but focus on the happiness you want.
Yes. Yes. And we cover that in the class for folks who want to join us in the manifestation. We talk about because they don't understand the double negatives or I don't want this or you just have to focus on it's not what you're fighting against, it's what you're fighting for. So that's what you need to kind of invite in your life. And now you have something, Linda. You can try it with this particular Lionsgate. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the next most substantial day of August, which is the 24th and the 25th. A lot is going on. I'm going to go through this a bit faster because the Lionsgate is the main character of August. So August 24th to the 25th, we're having particular. Let me go back. Let me talk about it at this level, so I think you can get a sense of what this is. So on this day, it's very positive. So Lionsgate is a bit more intense, but the one that happens here is very positive, but it's some changes. We're having a lot of Venus in Leo, which you natally have Venus in Leo. So this is actually going to be more. I wouldn't be surprised, Linda, if this day is more substantial for you in your life. the 25th and the 26th, more so than the 8th one is. You can still do the Lionsgate one on the 8th, but I think you're going to feel this one, the 25th and the 26th more than what's going to happen on the Lionsgate because you do have a Venus in Leo. So folks who have Venus in Leo, you're going to feel this too a lot more, which is Venus moves into Leo. And then Venus in Leo is going to trine Saturn in Aries. It's also going to trine Neptune in Aries because they're not that far off. And then Venus in Leo is going to sextile Uranus in Gemini. And then Venus in Leo is going to be opposite Pluto in Aquarius. And so I'm going to smash all of this together when I talk about that's a lot. What I just shared is a lot. But basically, they're going to do this beautiful configuration here where Venus is going to be opposite Pluto, but it's going to be helped by this little configuration. So there's some breakthrough that's going to happen with this Venus, what represents women, relationships, harmony. And Pluto is like this power, transformation, trauma, conquering, bullying energy is going to be helped with this while we're having also a square here and a semi-square. So let me just break it down. So Venus and Leo, I just covered this Venus versus Pluto. So there's some sort of relationship, power struggles, endings, transformations. It could also be the women with Epstein start to come out more, like start to protest more, share their voices, because Venus represents women. We might even have a little dose of another Me Too movement sort of happening. That's going to happen towards the end of the month, or their voices might come out like, of course, we don't listen to Ghislaine. Why would we not listen to the 1,000 victims? Like, why would we go to the criminal when we have all these witnesses? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's what's happening there. So there's possibly something that will happen there. But we're having this very positive sextile trine thing, which is called a cradle. This is actually called a cradle in astrology world, where it has a line here. It's a trine, and a sextile, sextile, sextile. And it's very positive. So what happens is we have an opposition. Venus is opposite Pluto. Very like they're not budging. They're just having an opposition. But these two other planets are basically working to support this conflict. They're kind of like mediators. And there's going to be some change or creative thinking that's going to emerge with this transformation. And so this is a very positive day for a change. We're going to have new thinking, new breakthroughs. It's going to be very different, especially we might have another solution around Me Too or some sort of solution about how to relate to the victims of Epstein. There's going to be something very positive where we're going to have new thinking, new ideas. And it's in astrology, when you have a cradle on the left-hand side of the chart, there's something about it representing an individual where the right hand represents other people. So there's going to be something we're individually going to experience. And this top hemisphere and bottom hemisphere is like bottom is like primal. I want to eat. I want to feel being incarnated. The top is spirituality, thinking. And so there's something individually we're going to elevate. You're going to maybe be more spiritual. We might have more spiritual experiences around this day. There's something about it more on an individual level, something almost like a timeline jump or some sort of elevation that's going to happen to folks. It's very individual, very positive, but some breakthrough that possibly will happen on an individual level. Very interesting. We have the full and new moons. I'm going to go through this very quickly. The full moon here is going to be intense because it's connected to Lionsgate, so really take advantage of that. And then I want to talk about this, the new moon in Virgo. And this one, you're going to experience it because you have your sun in Virgo. And I think you have family members that are Virgo rising. So they're going to feel this too. You have actually a lot of family members that Virgo placements.
Really?
Yes, yes. I was talking with Nicole and your grandson is a Virgo sun, I think.
Oh, yeah. He was
Yes,
September 7th.
yes. And she's a Virgo rising and you're a Virgo sun. So I've seen that in charts. A lot of folks have a lot of similar placements or particular signs. So you've got a Virgo generational pattern that sort of happens with that. So with this new moon, it's going to be very potent because sun just moved into Virgo and then it had its new moon. So you're going to feel it very potently. It's going to be a strong one. There could be some sort of invitation for you of a new wish or new hope you want for yourself because you're a Virgo sun. There's going to be focus on details, health, medicine, pets, labor. There's going to be also an invitation to possibly recharge. Like Linda, you might do like a solo trip where you might want to you could be too busy around August 22nd and you want to feel like, okay, I need to take me time, like maybe go to the spa or do something that feels more recharged. You might also start wanting to organize your life, like redoing, like you mentioned earlier, you were organizing something. What are you?
I'm organizing closets and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. And you might even hire an organizer to come in and just like put with the
I
containers
could
for
sure
women.
use a garage organizer.
Yeah, you could. I mean, hire someone to come into your garage and
Yeah.
organize it. I actually know someone. I could
Send
possibly
me the info. I'll
yeah, I'll
see
send
if
you
they'll
the.
come out.
They're not that expensive. I think they're basically like $30 or $40 an hour.
Listen, I would pay more. I
I
need someone.
exactly because they'll come in and they can quickly understand where to put. Okay, we'll talk afterwards. I do know
Okay, we'll
someone that's
talk.
really good, but I wouldn't be surprised, folks. You're gonna have the sense of maybe purging, a lot of trips to Goodwill, a lot of
Well, and
discarding.
also on the 30th, I have a big event to go see a friend perform in Southern California in a beautiful spot. So that
Okay.
should be fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would be very yeah, for you're gonna have yeah, a new sense of yourself. This is also setting the stage for eclipse season because in September we're gonna be having the eclipse is happening in the Virgo Pisces axis. So we're actually having two new moons this year, Linda. You're having one now and you're gonna have another one, and it's very rare for it to happen two new moons in a year. And so there's a lot of you're almost having a rebirth of actually folks who've got Virgo placements. You're possibly gonna have like a rebirth of yourself, like a new version of you starting to emerge, not in a negative way, but like a kind of like a timeline jump type of thing where you just sort of wake up and have a new insight.
Wow.
Possibly it's going to be very powerful. And Virgos and Pisces are going to, you're caught in that eclipse season. So just, look at your chart and see which area it's happening for you. It's very transformative. Something is sort of like releasing and some new version of you is emerging. And then we're going to talk about the best day all year, which is Venus will conjunct Jupiter on August 11th. Very positive day, which is such an interesting because August is kind of like high highs and low low. Like it's a very intense type of astrology. And so in the middle, so we're having Lionsgate's intense. August 11th is this positive moment, and then the 25th is and 26th is this transformation. So on August 11th, we're going to have Venus will conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. And Cancer is very nurturing, very emotional. So you're going to feel very good and taken care of possibly on this day. It's a high chance of possibly meeting a partner because a partner represents family and like nurturing and sort of creating a family, possibly financial gifts or some other kind of financial success happening because Venus represents money and Jupiter's expansion, positive experiences with family or people that feel like family. So if you want to plan a family dinner during that time, that's a good time to maybe even on the 10th would be a good time on August to kind of plan a family dinner. Good news with real estate because Cancer does rule real estate and homes. And also, finally, a great time to buy a lotto ticket.
Hell yeah, I'm down there.
And I do believe one of them is on Monday on the 11th. So one of the Powerball Mega Million. One of them is on the 11th. So and when for folks when you buy a lotto ticket, I just recommend buying one. Don't buy more than one because if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And yeah, that is August's astrology. I'm so curious, does that resonate with some of the hits you were getting for August?
August? Yeah. I feel some rough road though coming. When was the Lionsgate again?
The
August.
8th, August 8th, and then but there's energy happening on the 9th too.
August.
It is rough because the benefics are out of the loop. So it's gonna feel these are kind of like the release valves. These are the sweetness of the chart, and the sweetness is out of this equation. So, yeah, it's gonna feel rough. It's gonna be it's a lot of energy that you can direct it to transformation, but it will feel rough. I will say that confidently. Yeah.
I wonder if I don't know why I just got a hit while you were talking to me. Like it could even be some stuff between Russia. It might be good news
Hmm.
between Russia and Ukraine. Something could happen.
Yeah, possibly some conflict. It could also reach a point with Gaza here that we have to do something, like something about either maybe we start because the famine is already happening. So in about a week, we're going to see more severe cases of the famine than where we are now because even though they started distributing, it takes time to kind of get out and get the food to where people need. So both with Ukraine and Russia, but also the famine could be worse too. Yeah. So, yes, that is August's
Beautiful, girlfriend.
astrology. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna get my date book and start putting in all the little notes I just took.
Yes. So, yeah, that was
For
August.
the one on August 11th, I said buy lotto ticket.
Exactly. I'll put a little reminder on my phone too to make sure I get it. And regardless of what the pot is, I think it's just really, really positive astrology. Well,
That was
thank you. I
wonderful.
I
So
really
you'll be
appreciate.
back for the September too.
Yes, yes. Especially for the eclipses. I will prepare everyone for the eclipses then. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And you're busy as heck, right?
I just actually opened September. Let me go back to it. I just opened September and October bookings. Yes, I sold out very quickly, which is the power of this community is just so so powerful. But I just opened today. I opened September and October bookings.
And you
And
do astrology Ness with a three S's
three
at
S's.
Gmail.
Yes. Yes. And then there's also going to be a self-booking URL in the description too. So folks can just go there too.
I like
Yeah.
that. Well,
I
my
love
daughter was really looking forward to this video, so I'll get it up right away.
Okay. Yeah, we have to get ready for this.
I
August.
know.
Buckle up.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, thank you
Awesome.
so much, Ness.
Aw, thank you, Linda, for hosting me. I
You're
really appreciate
very energetic. I love Andre too. Andre's a
it.
very good
He's
astrologer.
very good. He's very,
But
and you're going to possibly have a third astrologer and a fourth astrologer in the future. This is just, and
yeah,
you're
this is what,
growing, Linda. You are going to grow.
oh my God, I know. All of a sudden I started going up in the numbers
Yeah.
again.
Well,
You said
this
that
whole
was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, and Annette saw that. I saw in your chart it also says it. Even like Marianne is growing. This whole community has grown by 50%. So for folks who are just new the past 6 months, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. But a
Yes.
lot of us have been here for a while, but we just noticed this big boom, which had to do with the election. I think people intuitively knew because
Oh,
that's
you
when it
know what's
happened.
so weird? I lost like 1,000 subscribers the day
Oh, after the
Trump
election.
won. And
Okay.
I didn't blame them at
Yeah.
all. I
Yeah.
said yes. And I went on and apologized and said, I don't blame you. And just stopped my numbers. I was at 80,000.
Hmm.
And within a week, I started going through, I hit 100,000 within two
Yeah,
months,
you did. I
just
think
through
less
the
than.
roof.
I think you let less than 2 months. Yes, it was very.
And
It
then
was.
it was like, whoa, what happened?
I intuitively feel it's people are getting in touch with their intuition. Legacy media is failing them, and I think a part of that is them going, "Hey, I think what Joe Rogan is maybe has some truth in it." Like he's saying some weird things, but he's also saying some true things. And like, I think people are basically not buying what New York Times is telling them, or Fox. There's something about where we're trusting our own intuition a bit more.
Right.
And I think the election was part of it. And I think people are coming here. I even saw it that YouTube is going to grow way bigger than what we
Oh,
are
it's
now.
already one of the top ones.
It's
Can you
like, no,
believe
but
it?
like, and which makes sense why your numbers are going to go, you're going to be in the millions, Linda, which is just
I
like,
just can't picture that, but thank
I
you.
know, but because people aren't here on YouTube yet. I know a lot of my
Yeah, but
folks
a
aren't on
lot of people
YouTube.
aren't into this stuff.
Well, also like, for example, Audible, right? People listening books while they do things. That's a new thing. That's like the past 5 years. And so folks, if you want to be a seller, you have to have the Audible version of your book.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
got an Audible. I just got a check today for Audible. And by the way, my book, by the way, you can get it on Amazon.
oh yes, I have her book as well.
Just write, type in Linda Grindle on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm still getting
Royalties
money,
from it. Yeah.
decent money every month. People are
Yeah.
still buying the book.
Well, one of it's all the new folks that just joined us. So they don't know that because you written the book almost a year ago, right?
I don't remember.
It was a year ago you
It
wrote it,
was
but
probably a year ago.
because all the new folks who just joined us are finding out for the first time. And so I think they're orienting to it like that. But also Audible is like we're now listening while we go, while we're in the line or while we're running, we're listening. And I think people are going to do that with YouTube. A lot of folks are, I listen to YouTube while I'm like washing dishes or I'm walking around
Me
and I'm
too. I
getting errands.
listened to a show. Yeah. Also,
Exactly.
when I'm driving, going on long trips, I pick some show that's going
Yeah,
to take a while. Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's why, so I don't think everyone has migrated yet to YouTube. I think people have migrated to Audible, like, and using it. And I think people are going to figure out that they can do that same thing with Audible with YouTube. Like they can listen in the background while they do it. And that's where I feel like we're going to have more numbers on YouTube very soon. Like, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised, Linda, I mean, we're in the middle of July. I wouldn't be surprised if you hit like 175 or close to 200 by the end of the year. Like I
Wow.
wouldn't be
Yeah, I'm
surprised.
at 135 or something.
Yeah. I wouldn't, and it's obviously, yes, you growing in popularity, but I think it's also more folks coming to YouTube. I think more
Yeah.
folks are finding, even like Gavin Newsom, he did an interview when that whole ICE thing was happening in LA like 2 months ago. He did a bunch of podcasts. He was on Midas Touch. He was on
He has his
Brian.
own podcast too.
He has his own. He was on Brian Tyler. He wasn't talking to like the news linear media as much. He was actually on YouTube talking to Trump on you. Like it was an interesting break from the.
He, somebody sent me him talking to some guy that's to sort of anti-left. I can't
Oh,
remember
interesting.
what his
Yeah,
name.
I think he's trying to get the male vote right now. I think Gavin
Well, he
Newsom.
and he doesn't mind being challenged. That's what I
Yeah.
like. That's why I think he
Yeah.
has a very good chance of becoming the president
Yeah.
because he presents himself. And honestly, he talked about going to the French Laundry and what an idiot he was.
Yeah. Yeah. He
He
can admit
talked
it
about
now.
it. He brings
Yeah.
it out. That's what people were telling me. You apologize to everybody
Yeah.
for what saying, because who knew they were going to cheat? Well,
Yeah.
we knew, but we didn't know by that much.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I guess some people, said it was something else. I can't remember. And it was like, just say you got it wrong. I got it wrong because even
Yeah.
if they cheated, I should have got it right.
And you know what's interesting? A lot of these astrological placements are into Gemini and Aquarius, which is air signs, but also social groups. I feel like there's this social group shift that's happening where people want someone like Gavin Newsom, where he tells it to you, he apologizes when he's wrong, versus this like gaslighter type person that just sort of
Yeah.
lies. But it's almost like this parent, like you want to believe this parent is correct. I think some folks like believe like if they just believe that Trump's tariffs, like we just hang on a little bit longer, all of a sudden the tariffs are going to save everything. Like there's some sort of like like when you're a child and you believe your parent is really working for your I
Oh,
don't know
I
what
know.
term. There it's kind of like this parentification or believe that, a strong leader will just keep
Oh, well,
them
now,
safe.
the Epstein thing, that's all Biden and Obama and
Yes.
all these, Hillary Clinton, they all set him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And but people are seeing through that right away. They're seeing through it. Like when he says Obama, he even posted this OJ Simpson meme. Did you see that?
Yeah, and put whose face in there? Was it Biden?
He put Obama's face as OJ Simpson. But did you see which face he did for JD Vance?
No, who?
He did that round Oompa Loompa version.
He
I
doesn't
love
like JD Vance, I'm
I
telling
want
you.
to know the artist that created that Oompa Loompa version of JD Vance. Like that should be in the MoMA or something.
He's going down, that I can tell you.
I'm really that could be like you remember Andy Geddes and Geddes who did the babies. It was like this artist that did babies, almost like that I forget it that 60s artist with the big eyes, the children with the big eyes.
Oh yeah, I just bought one. My grandma had one of hers in her house and I got it and then it got lost in my moves. I just rebought the one with the kitty cat.
Yes, yes, but it's like it's a particular style where you do like
Yeah,
I
she
feel
did
like
the big eyes.
yeah, I feel like JD Vance could maybe go into marketing about all that images of like the Oompa Loompa-ness of like some toys with it. Do
That's
you,
funny.
it's interesting. Like 2 weeks ago, JD Vance and Usha were, I think they were at Disneyland or something else, and they were caught fighting in public. Yes. And then basically the conversation was Usha had said, looked around and said, this could be our life. Like, why are you doing something else? And then I guess JD Vance said something else. And I have a sense that they are, I think they understand like JD Vance is trying to do a play right now. And I think Usha is trying to basically go, maybe I don't want to be the first lady or something like that. Like why would we make it really hard? Yeah, I'll send you an article about this,
Yeah.
but because they don't fight in public, but this was the server staff
I've
saw them
always had
fighting.
a hard time seeing him be president, even temporary. I always have a hard time.
Do you think it's an energetic thing or do you think we're in denial?
I don't know. I don't
What-
know.
He doesn't feel presidential at all. Like he
No,
just doesn't feel
he's even worse than Trump, and his numbers are even worse than Trump.
like when you watch movies and there's like the sidekick and then there's the main guy and the sidekick is usually like an animal or like, like different. It's just that's what he feels. He gives sidekick energy. He doesn't feel like
He could
the
be
main
in the
character.
forefront. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something about all of that. But yeah.
All right,
Okay.
girlfriend. And I feel volcanic action coming in August too. Not
That could
Armageddon, but some.
it could be the fire stuff. So I would say around the 8th, just be full
Okay.
wildfires, but also maybe some volcanic activity as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Awesome.
you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We
Thank you.
love you all. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Okay.